Romans 16 verses 11 to 16. Greet one another in love. The church is family. There is something profoundly sacred in the way names are remembered. A list of greetings may appear mundane to the modern reader, but within each name penned in Romans 16 is a tapestry of faith, a testimony of grace, and a token of Christ's redeeming love. These are not mere acknowledgments of acquaintances, but expressions of deep, affectionate recognition, threads in the divine family quilt being stitched across the Roman Empire. In these final verses of Paul's salutations, we find a crescendo of communion, a celebration not of personalities, but of providence. Jew and Gentile, slave and free, women and men, aristocrats and artisans, all are summoned into the embrace of the gospel. Through these names, the Spirit whispers to every overlooked, unnamed, and uncelebrated saint, you are part of the household of God. You are seen. You are beloved. You are embraced. In this final cascade of greetings, Paul unveils the familial beauty of the church, bound by grace, diverse in background, and united in love, where every believer is cherished, chosen, and embraced in Christ. First, cherished in the Lord, the beauty of gospel affection. Greet my relative Herodian. Greet those in the Lord who belong to the family of Narcissus. Verse 11. Paul begins this segment with affectionate language, my relative Herodian, likely denoting ethnic kinship as a fellow Jew, Sugene. Yet, it is not race, but grace that binds these names together. The family of Narcissus, possibly slaves or freedmen of a once prominent Roman household, are not esteemed by noble birth, but because they are in the Lord. Union with Christ reconfigures status, creating a new community where social boundaries dissolve in the warmth of Christian affection. As Thielman and Mu point out, the expression, in the Lord, dominates these verses, revealing that spiritual location eclipses worldly designation. It is not where you came from, but whose you are, that defines your identity. Whether Herodian, once tethered to a royal name, or Narcissus's household, perhaps once silenced in servitude, both now rejoice as cherished members of Christ's body. Second, chosen in Christ, the gospel's gracious inclusion. Greet those workers in the Lord, Tryphena and Tryphosa. Greet the beloved Persis, who has worked hard in the Lord. Verse 12. These names, feminine and likely of slave origin, shimmer with beauty. Tryphena and Tryphosa, perhaps sisters, may have once been ornamental slaves, their delicate names evoking refinement. But here, their dignity is not in appearance, but in labor. Paul honors them not for grace of form, but for grace in toil. They labored in the Lord, ekopiasin in Korio, echoing the verb, kopiao, meaning to labor to the point of exhaustion. Persis, likewise, is not lost in the shadows. She is beloved, not merely by Paul, but by the church, by Christ. This term, agapete, radiates covenant affection. Hendrickson suggests that this may imply a depth of personal devotion, proven in enduring service. These women were not footnotes in the early church. They were pillars, chosen vessels through whom the gospel advanced. Third, embraced in love, the shared holiness of the household. Greet Rufus, chosen in the Lord, and greet his mother, a mother to me also. Verse 13. Here the personal tone swells. Rufus may well be the same Rufus mentioned in Mark 15 verse 21, son of Simon of Cyrene, the man who bore Christ's cross. If so, Paul is honoring a family with deep roots in Calvary's soil. But more touching still is his reference to Rufus's mother, his mother, and mine. Whether literal or figurative, Paul's words drip with warmth. He was nourished, comforted, and perhaps even housed by her during suffering or mission. This is not formality, it is familial. The church is not an institution of members, but a household of mothers and sons, sisters and brothers, fathers in the faith. As Haldane observes, these are not complements of flesh, but tributes to grace. Fourth, united in worship, the kiss of holiness and the fellowship of the saints. Greet Asyncritus, Phlegon, Hermes, Patrobas, Hermas, and the brothers and sisters who are with them. Greet one another with a holy kiss. All the churches of Christ greet you. Verses 14 to 16. The list concludes with a cluster of names, largely Gentile, many likely slaves, and 2 house churches. The sheer variety signals something revolutionary. Christ is gathering a mosaic of humanity into one worshiping body. And how do they express this unity? With a holy kiss. This gesture, far from empty tradition, was a tactile symbol of reconciliation, peace, and mutual grace. Calvin rightly cautions that the essence of the kiss lies not in the gesture itself, but in the love and fellowship it communicates. Paul urges them to express visibly what the gospel has wrought invisibly, a union sanctified by the Spirit. All the churches of Christ greet you. That closing chorus resounds like a symphony of solidarity, echoing across regions and cultures. This is no small sect in Rome. This is the global bride of Christ, bound in blessing, walking in unity, sealed with peace. Reflections for today. What if the health of our churches were not measured by attendance charts or budget reports, but by the depth of our greetings? What if the real pulse of our community was found in how we remember names, how we make room for others, how we greet, not from habit, but from the heart? In Paul's list of names, there are no celebrities, only saints. Some are worn and weary women who work themselves to exhaustion for Christ. Others are former slaves bearing Gentile names, now leaders in house churches. Some, like Rufus and his mother, carried the emotional weight of early gospel suffering and shared it with Paul. In each case, the bond was forged not by preference, but by grace. In an age when believers are too often divided by culture wars, denominational rivalries, or unspoken suspicion, Romans 16 verses 11 to 16 confronts us. Have we built churches that reflect this familial warmth? Or are we mere religious spectators? When last did someone say of you, "She is like a mother to me," or "He labors in the Lord," or "They refresh my soul"? Many in our pews today feel nameless, overlooked, tolerated but not treasured. Paul's greetings are a sacred rebuke to that culture of invisibility. To greet one another in the Lord is not just to acknowledge, it is to affirm. To say, you belong, you matter, you are loved. And what of diversity? The early church was scandalously inclusive. Women served, slaves led, Jews and Gentiles broke bread. Today, we often reverse this, preferring homogeneity over holy unity. The gospel that greets Tryphena and Hermes alike calls us to reimagine what church could be, not a performance, but a family, not a crowd, but a communion. So ask yourself, who do I walk past without greeting? Whose labor have I ignored? Is my love wide enough to embrace the Persis who serves silently, the Rufus whose pain I haven't noticed, the house church full of believers who look nothing like me? In the end, Paul's greetings are not filler. They are a mirror, a call, a whisper from the Spirit. Make your church a place where names are known, saints are loved, and every soul is greeted with gospel grace. Conclusion. Romans 16 verses 11 to 16 is no footnote to doctrine. It is the flourishing fruit of grace. It shows us the church not merely as a theological concept, but as a living communion, diverse, affectionate, sacrificial, and holy. May we see the church as Paul saw it, a family of faith, bound by Christ's blood, greeting one another not out of duty, but out of delight.